Hey everyone, it's Dooley here with episode 1 of the new Shipyard review series on Naval Battlezone High Caliber. I thought I'd start this series off with a review of one of my own ships, USS Drum. My build of USS Drum is an in-game replica of the historical USS Drum SS-228. This ship was completed September 13th, 2022 and has an overall cost of 2,180,070 in-game credits. The submarine weighs 1,340 tons, has an overall length of 95 meters, a beam of 11 meters, and an overall height of 22 meters. It is equipped with 4 diesel generators producing 2,800 kilowatts each when surfaced, and 2 electric motors producing 1,400 kilowatts each when submerged. USS Drum also carries 214 tons of fuel and over 2.3 million kilowatts of battery storage. She is also armed with 2 127mm cannons, one 40mm cannon, 2 20mm cannons, and 8 torpedo tubes supplied with 32 total torpedoes. Overall, my build of USS Drum is a long-range replica that features all of the compartments of her historical counterpart. Without further ado, let's get on with the in-game review. Alrighty, so to start off this review, we're going to enter this forward hatch into the main torpedo room. The forward torpedo room, that is. You'll notice I have these double-layered trapdoors, and that's to keep water from passing through the trapdoor if the trapdoor is open, because that is a plug-in mechanic that we have here where water can pass through a trapdoor if it's open. Excuse me. And then here we're greeted with this nice, almost like a carousel of torpedoes. There's 4 torpedo tubes in the nose, arranged in a square configuration, as well as a TDC. Allows for me to do, to tell my torpedoes what I want them to do. The submarine's equipped with a little variety of torpedoes, but for the most part we have these faster long-range torpedoes, and then we have the slower, shorter-range, bigger boom torpedoes. That's kind of the doctrine that I've always carried with my submarines, but, different things for different people, and that's just what I've chosen. There's also a little shower in the back of the sub here, or in the front of the sub here, in the back of the torpedo room. This is historically accurate. I wanted to make sure I threw this here because I honestly thought it was hilarious when I saw the USS Drum in real life and there was just an open shower in the torpedo room. So that's what that is. I've also got some cargo and a hose for if there's ever a fire or damage that needs to be repaired here. So the one historical inaccuracy, well, I'm sure there's many, but the big one that strikes me in this ship is the whole forward officers kind of area of the ship. Given the distance restrictions between the control room and the torpedo room, I had to really reduce the amount of compartments for the officers. So there's no exo quarters, exo quarters, and there's no petty officer quarters like there should be. So it's just the officer's wardroom and the CO cabin. So again, here's the wardroom in all of its glory. It looks pretty close to the real one. And then we also have the CO cabin, which is just a bed and some lockers and a nice little sink and mirror, which I used using a black glass block and a acacia paint trick. So snaking around here, there's the other side of those lockers and 2 cargo blocks for any repairs that are needed. And then we're in the main control room. This is the room I'm most proud of. I spent the most time working on this room probably than any other room in the ship, because I wanted to make sure that everything that was in this room was where it should be and looked the way it should be. So floor is this dark green like it's supposed to be in real life, with these darker brown wood edges to the room, and I think those really carry the look of this whole room here. If we had gone with any other color, it probably would have looked a little bit bland. The steering or the maneuvering wheel is where it should be. I have my V crew and helm sign there, as well as these lights and the dive or the fire bell. There's also a nav and my lucky ham and cheese sandwich I always throw in all my ships. We also have the dive stations over here with the diving plane control where it should be. There's a ladder to the up to the sail, they call it, or the conning tower, whichever you will. And then there's also the observation periscope. Now there should be a little more room between the observation periscope and this doohickey component here, but given the space restrictions I had to have them right next to each other, and for gameplay it doesn't make any difference having it there. So moving behind here, we've got our radar and detector. These are for any sort of, when we're surfaced, finding stuff. Now, we're gonna hit over here first. There's these 2 cargo cabinets with 4 cargo blocks in them for any sort of critical damages that show up in the control room. I figured we need a lot of cargo in here, so that's what those are there for. We also have a radio room here for when we're surfaced, we can communicate with other ships. So let's go up here into the sail, and in here we've got sort of like a pretend radar thing, sonar. I mean, it would, I think, in reality be a sonar room here, but I haven't equipped it. We also have a TDC here. This is very realistic. They'd always have a TDC up in the conning tower, and there's also an attack scope here for if we ever want somebody up here firing off the torpedoes. Going up this long ladder, we pass by the sort of the snorkel tube here, and then we have our little helm. You can always use the sword to navigate the ship. That's why there's no wheel up here. And we also have a handy dandy 20mm up here on the rear part of the sail. Heading back down and through here, back into the control room. And heading back here behind the control room, we've got the mess hall. Now, it's kind of a mess hall / galley. This is how they are on these ships. So we have, like, most of the stuff is arranged exactly where it should be on the real ships. So just like these little racks up here are where they should be. We've got a cup and a food tray up there, some piping, a little stove top. I think this is some sort of like grinder thing. I don't really know, but we've got our stove tops here. Jukebox, and what submarine wouldn't be complete without ice cream? So made sure to have some ice cream heads on board, as well as some hot dogs and burgers for the boys. So moving back to the crew berthing, this is where all my crew bunks and all of the villager crew is on my ship, other than that little bit in the torpedo rooms. Now there's also a ladder that leads out of the ship from here. This is also another realistic thing. Got a hose here and another shower and toilet for the boys. Heading back again into the first engine room, we have 2 diesels. And these aren't diesel engines. I went with diesel generators for these because the room that I would have taken up in my interior for things like a drive shaft connecting these engines to the motors, I felt it necessary to replace that room with more batteries and fuel. So by making them diesel generators, which you can put anywhere on a ship to power your motors, I was able to cut out the otherwise used room for drive shaft for motors and battery, or for batteries and fuel. So the aft room is the same thing as the forward engine room, just reversed, and there's also a hatch to the outside of the ship here. And now moving back to the maneuvering room, this is where the motors are. So the motors are actually underneath here, but you can operate them from this deck. We can't get down there. It's so packed full of motor blocks that there's virtually no interior down there. But it's okay because you can control it all from here. There's also a telegraph here if you need to adjust the ship's speed from here, as well as a steering gear back here. And I don't know what these are called on a real submarine. It's like a machine with probably like 10 or 20 different levers on it. And I used a loom to sort of represent those slots for the levers where they would be. So that's what that is. And sliding back to the aft torpedo room, there's a few more bunks and again 4 torpedo tubes in the rear of the submarine. It's laid out very similarly to the forward torpedo room, and there's also a double layered trapdoor hatch leading to the outside of the ship. So that's going to conclude the in-game review of my USS drone. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate you clicking on it. I know it's been a long time since I've uploaded anything to this channel, and I want to apologize for that, but I'm going to do my best to start spitting out some higher quality content for you guys, and I thought what better way to start with a Shipyard review series. So if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.